Shalom, shalom, shalom. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another day to labor in the vineyard of the Most High with your brother. Another day to get in the almighty word. You see what the Most High got to serve. And what we eating on is the 33rd element that helped the Jesus become the conquering lion that we seen in the last lesson. So it's based upon the previous one. So let's eat. Let's eat out the keys. And we're gonna start in key 206, page 233. Page 233, key 206, starting at verse 46. But until we utilize the language codes of Moshe, Elias, and Yahshua, we will not recognize that all of these language patterns are triangular coordinates of the higher mind, centering its knowledge within the human force field. Alright, so it's speaking on the language of light, an internal language, which is the language that Yahshua and Moses and them use. Alright? Let's get the definition of language of light so we all be aligned. Language of light, instant communication with the infinite mind using ideographic and pictographic cybernetics. Alright? Meaning using your thoughts and images in your mind for connection. It is used by Elohim in conjunction with the eternal light to create the primordial eons and mention world regions of growth. It is the parent language of a deity. It is the primordial parent language of a deity used in an overall plan or design to outline a procedure to code knowledge into crystal. And remember, the crystal seed is the mind's eye network. Second definition. The language of light as a vehicle enables the lords of light to reach many planetary worlds and reality levels simultaneously and fuse the different languages into the same scenario abstract. This allows man to have communion with other planets of intelligence through super holographic processes. As God's word, the knowledge of this language comes from a core memory of information, the recorder cell we read about, being shared by the higher spiritual levels of existence. It allows man to read the record of the mysteries in the higher heavens. Alright? Let's go back to verse 46. But until we utilize the language codes of Moses, Elijah, and Jesus, we will not recognize that all of these language patterns are triangular coordinates of the higher mind, centering its knowledge within the human force field. Yet, when we are fused with the Christ consciousness, we will recognize that infinite intelligence goes beyond the consciousness of the lower worlds. Infinite intelligence goes beyond the consciousness of the lower worlds, the lower heavens. For this reason, the Torah, or which we learned is the many books of scriptures, absorbs the fallen galactic realms of consciousness and fuses the misdirected higher light into the light of Jaja. This enables man, spiritual man, to move from 0 point evolution to light technology into starseed creation, beyond the negative spiral of the galactic tree of this light zone. Alright, so the Torah or enables us to come out of negative entropy, or the decay that comes with this realm. And when we work directly with the higher evolution, we will understand how the book of Genesis gives 4 different cosmologies of creation. The first is that of the creation of the luminaries in the expanse of the many heavens. The second is the creation of our galaxy, this Milky Way galaxy, in the expanse or the firmament of our heavens. The third is the creation of our greater luminary, the creation of our solar system, meaning the sun, moon, the local stars, and the 7 planets that's in this system. And the fourth, the cycle of higher man placed upon the planet in the image of the Adam Kadmon, who could speak with the infinite mind and understand the trees of life as being the higher mentioned worlds. The Torah also employs the divine name 32 times in the creation story at the beginning of Genesis. This represents the 32 paths by means of which Hakmah, or divine wisdom, becomes manifest. Through these 32 paths, the soul, as the pure germ seed of Nagin, pause, let's get the definition of Nagin. Because it says, the soul as the pure germ seed of Nagin. Alright. Nagin. Or Naga shells. Shells surrounding the body, meaning shells of light. Surrounding the body, created by energies of contemplation. Alright, meaning your field of thought creates its own vortex patterns. Shells surrounding the body created by energies of contemplation. The veils of color and sound generated around the body in contemplative ecstasy of Yah. The spherical screens of colors created around the energy force field of man, through which your body vehicle, as your natural soul, is prepared to momentarily be united with the living light. In the book of Exodus, it is stated that the curtains of fine blue, purple, and scarlet cover the sanctuary. This is also a model for the mind that's in prayer, surrounded by the force field of the Nagin shells. Standing in the temple sanctuary of light in one's mind allows the soul to perceive and pass into the entire color spectrum beyond the dualism of light consciousness versus darkness. Again, standing in the temple sanctuary of light in one's mind allows the soul to perceive and pass into the entire color spectrum beyond the dualism of light consciousness versus darkness until the force seizes the highest aspirations of one's soul. All right? And that's learning to use your ability to go into the astral realm of your mind. And like it say right here, to go beyond the dualism of light consciousness versus darkness until the force in your mind seizes that highest aspiration of one's soul. Because remember, all things is possible to the child of light. Because the child of light understand that we're operating in the quantum realm. But the lower man only understands that we're operating in the flesh. So all things aren't possible to the lower man. Thereby, the holy sanctuary begins to glow. And the first set of sacred colors are penetrated. Alright? And you see how I keep talking about colors. This is sign into your aura and your chakra field, because they are both based upon colors. Thereby, the holy sanctuary begins to glow, and the first set of sacred colors are penetrated, and the colors of white loving kindness and red power are seen melting into a blue and purple background of knowledge and wisdom, surrounding the mind and unfolding the forces of Hakma, which is wisdom. The Noggin acts as a screen before the divine light and helps you code into those higher realities of luminosity and color, which you do not normally see, but it exists. All right? So, as we learn to use the power of our field of thought up here in the minds, in that network, that mind's eye network that we've been reading about, all things are possible. All right, back to verse 51. Through these 32 paths, the soul, as the pure germ seed of Noggin, of creative, contemplative ecstasy of the mind, and Ahiden, the united substance, and Yahida, the highest category of experience, descends to be clothed into the physical body. The Torah speaks of this unification of the 32 chemical building blocks within man, which allows him to receive the Lag Boimer, the 33rd degree, the pillar of light. The Torah speaks of this unification of the 32 chemical building blocks within man, which allows him to receive the Lag Boimer, the 33rd degree, which is the pillar of light. Pause. Alright, let's get the definition. A Lag Boimer and pillar of light. Let's start with pillar of light. Now, we're going to start with Lag Boimer. According to Enoch, the reprogramming of the human chemistry, all right, the reprogramming of your system, of your biotransducer system through the divine wisdom. Lag Boimer, according to Enoch, is the reprogramming of the human chemistry through the divine wisdom, so that the 32 basic chemical building blocks in the human body are coupled with the 33rd element, which is the synthesis of the best attribute and best function of the previous 32 elements. Alright? So all it's saying is you have placed wisdom on the throne. And by understanding your nature as a child of light, then you begin to activate pathways within the body. Alright, the Shekinah universe follows the lead of the Godhead. Alright, so once you then reach the point to where you operating with the divine wisdom in the Metatronic science, and you understand the nature of your blueprint as a light being and the abilities that you have to manifest powers within, the system will start to align itself following the lead of the God. Like Yahshua said in John 10:32 or 34, is it not written in your nature that ye are gods? But you gotta be working with the logos, the divine field of thought, for that wisdom to begin to activate all through your system. Alright? And that's how the Shekinah universe do her work of transforming, like it said right here, reprogramming the human chemistry. Which, that's the job of the Shekinah universe. The inner building blocks that we've been reading about. The 33rd element is the implanting of divine wisdom, which alters the vibrations of the physical body and prepares it for reincorporation back into the divine body, or the Cadmon body of light. Alright? Now, let's get the pillar of light. Pillar of light, an infinite arrangement of higher light emissions which produce a given frequency for projection. An infinite arrangement of light emissions, light codes, which produce a given wavelength for projection and deliverance of the offspring of the deity. The higher light is in itself a living consciousness. The higher light is in itself a living consciousness controlled by divine thought forms. The higher light is in itself a living consciousness which can be controlled by the logos, by divine thought forms, which can neutralize, meaning cut out, destructive light vibrations, meaning the things that we partake of and continue to do that are destructive to the light, but like it said, to be able to at least neutralize destructive light channels. Photodisintegration, photodissociation, etc. It can also materialize levels of superior intelligence because it allows you to tap into the higher aspects, the higher fields of thought. Now let's go back to verse 52. The Torah speaks of this unification of the 32 chemical building blocks within man, which allows him to receive the Lagboimer, the pillar of light. The Lagboimer exemplifies pause, let's get a definition. Let's get a precept. Alright, to tie into how what we just read about the 32 building blocks allows man to receive the Lagboimer, the pillar of light. Let's read about the pillar of light right quick. Let's go to page 132, verse 17. This Kia Enoch is saying that we will go through negative entropy simultaneously. We will be taken by higher intelligence and moved into a new field of starseed evolution. The Kia Enoch is saying that as we go through negative entropy, which is the opposite of centropy, which centropy is the electrification of matter, entropy is the decay of matter. Simultaneously, we will be taken by higher intelligence and moved into a new field of starseed evolution. Alright, so this ties into what's going on right now, even though we're still dealing with entropy. Mentally, intellectually, consciously, we're being moved into a new field of evolution. This would take place by the pillar of light, which realigns our life space as we proceed into the next ordering of evolution. We will go towards the ultraviolet threshold through a pillar of light, which penetrates all protective atmospheres and absorbs radiation so that light is benign. Man is part of a larger crystalline vehicle, speaking on the overself, which goes through a superimposed scale, not in the original physical matrix. All right? The divine double doesn't operate in the physical matrix until it combines itself with the physical vehicle, which is an extension of the higher overself. Man is part of a larger crystalline vehicle which goes through a superimposed scale, not in the original physical matrix. Remember that, because we're going to see this in a precept later about the super electron and the electron. All right? Thus, the regenerating program is implanted within our core lattice of crystal, encompassing the entire planetary field of human experience, while the other diminishing activities, not protected by the pillar of light, are allowed to completely dissipate. All right? And if you ain't figured out by now, the keys is wrote in parables, just like Jesus' teachings is in parables. Thus, the regenerating program is implanted within our core lattice of crystal, encompassing the entire planetary field of human experience, while the other diminishing beings, those that are not aligned with the regenerating program, not protected by the pillar of light, are allowed to completely dissipate. And that's going to come behind following the system of the world. You can't, it's going to come to a point to where you're not going to be able to follow the world and the Most High. You're going to have to, like the Bible says, choose ye this day whom you will serve. You're either going to follow the light or you're going to follow the world and its darkness. And that worldly darkness is going to completely dissipate itself. 21. However, this complete realignment of the larger vehicle can take place only when the end of the cycle occurs. All right, so the complete and final realignment with the overself can only take place when the end of the cycle occurs. What we're doing now is we're building up to that point. All right, we're building the bridge, the link. But the complete realignment can take place only when the end of the cycle occurs because of the negative entropy that we incur in this system. This must come at the appropriate time, lest complete degeneration of the consciousness takes place. All right, back to page 233, verse 52. The Lagbormer exemplifies the initiation with the 22 letters of the divine signature in the mathematical construction of Exodus 33 and 22. And it has to occur that while my glory is passing by, I must place you in a hole in a rock. and I must put my palm over you, my light shield over you, as a screen, until I have passed by. And you see how that ties into that verse that we just read on the other page. Again, Exodus 33 and 22. And it has to occur that while my glory is passing by, I must place you in a hole in a rock, speaking on the remnant seed that's chasing the light and being activated. I must place you in a hole in a rock, and I must put my palm over you as a screen until I have passed by. Here, the screen of light is given to Moses so that he can stand before God's presence and transcribe the letters of the divine language. This same force also allows Moses' skin to send forth beams of light. Moreover, Jesus, Yahshua, Yeshaya, Yahawashai, Emmanuel, as the Shir Komah, and all that is shown. I'm gonna flash it right quick. Verse 4 is page 40, verse 47. The Shir Komah is the avatar, the Adam Kadmon. All right. So you see it at the bottom right there where it says Krishna and Shir Komah is just speaking on the embodiments of the divine Adam Kadmon. Moreover, Jesus, as the Shir Komah, removes these physical garments by manifesting the Christ consciousness. The Jesus, when it says the Jesus, is referring to the spiritual man. The Jesus includes all of the best functions, and it's speaking on spiritual man or woman. The Jesus, the spiritual seed, includes all of the best functions and attributes that must be offered up to the Christ. That's why we gotta purify ourselves and slowly start to cut off or reduce our habits and vices that take us away from the light. The spiritual seed includes all of the best functions and attributes. Attributes, the fruits of the spirit. This is why you had to get away from all of the negative aspects that may have been a part of your being. That must be offered up to the Christ during the 33rd eon of Ein Sof brilliance. Yahshua demonstrates how the 32 basic chemical building blocks used in the shaping of the physical body can be properly synthesized into the higher light of the Adam Kadmon in his 33rd year. All right, so it happened for him in his 33rd year. All right, and that's not saying that's the same for everybody, but that was just for him. All right, it happened in his 33rd year. Now let's go to page 504, verse 128. Metatron told me about the negative orders of space intelligence. Metatron told me about the fallen orders of space intelligence that use the corresponding negative biotransducers. And remember, biotransducers is speaking on the body of flesh. Metatron told me about the negative orders of space intelligence that use the corresponding negative people in this system of creation to try to destroy our biological structure by the misuse of atomic and subatomic power. All right, and atomic and subatomic power is not talking about missiles. It's talking about the things that they create and the way they destroy things that tie into our internal system. All right, go back to verse 117. It is the work of the fallen mind energies, meaning it was given to them to do. All right, this is their job. This is their work. Just like in the book of Job, when Satan asked God, this is their work. It is the work of the fallen mind energies to block the energy source for the generation of all of these patterns of confirmation. They do this so that higher man or spiritual man will not understand that he can attain higher bodies of light. Because by blocking this wisdom, those fallen energies, can acquire non-spiritual human bodies, or the negative biotransducers that we just read about. All right? By blocking this wisdom, they can acquire non-spiritual human bodies, which are left in consciousness vacuums. That's why you heard of old folks say the empty mind is the devil's playground. By blocking this wisdom, they can acquire non-spiritual bodies, which are left in consciousness vacuums. This is why, when the body has been depleted of energy, it is more susceptible to negative intrusion. Metatron explained that this is the reason why the higher brothers of light come to regenerate, resurrect, and reprogram the cellular metamaterial universes of the Shekinah. Alright? So back to verse 129. According to Metatron, when the energies of atomic and subatomic fields are not under the maintenance functions of the living light, controlling transduction, the negative powers of spiritual intelligence can dissolve electrons through a wall of photon waves and explode the electron space structures of light. Alright, and when it's speaking of photon waves right there, your field of thought got to do with that. Cause let's get a precept. Let's go to page 38. Page 38, verse 31. In order to put man into the building blocks of pyramidal geometries, triangular coordinates, and pyramids of light, we have this key in the consciousness of light. Centropy is the electrification of matter, specifically in a material function. Higher light being the highest amplification of centropy. In our mind, light functions by masers or microwave amplifications by stimulated emissions of radiation. By stimulated emissions of radiation. And if you don't know where radiation is, hold on, pause, we gonna get it. Radiation, the emission and propagation of radiant energy in the form of sephirotic emanations. So again, radiation is the production and dissemination of radiant energy in the form of sephirotic emanations, or force acting on a body in the higher thresholds of creation from any number of divine light sources. Alright? So it's a higher field of thought. In our mind, light functions by masers or microwave amplification by stimulated emissions of radiation. This is projected through photoneurons, which are quantum mechanistic corpuscles of light, working by means of photon amplification. All photons are in step. That is, they are reinforced in the same frequency. All photons are in alignment. And that whether that's a higher alignment or a lower alignment, that is, they are reinforced in the same frequency, which modulates mental energy into physical energy. Now, essentially, this knowledge can be used to find the formula which will explain how light creates the quanta corpuscles of light in the brain, allowing the brain to work as it does like a computer. With this explanation, man can see how his consciousness mind receives continuous communication within the brain from all forms of consciousness relativity and our consciousness zone, which pulsate thought forms through a thinking light cell by photon amplification of light crystals. Alright? Through photon amplification of light crystals. Alright, so we're going to be polarized one way or another. Alright, and that's why the entropy down here is so strong. Because of the negative biotransducers that are operating via the negative orders of intelligence that they don't understand. And unless it has been given to you to come into the higher level, then you get stuck. 129 again, page 504. According to Metatron, when the energies of atomic and subatomic fields are not under the order or maintenance functions of the living light controlling transduction, the negative powers of spiritual intelligence can dissolve electrons through a wall of photon waves and explode the electron space structure of life. Alright, basically saying they just cause entropy. Alright, the living light brings centropy, whereas the negative powers support entropy, the death and decay of the system. For the purpose of countering the negative destructive power, the Seraphim Brotherhood is performing a tremendous transduction operation for the entirety of the Christ race on this planet. All of the starseeds on this planet. Through this operation, an energy field will be placed around the body, a pillar of light, to bypass negative fields of interference and to monitor a chemical spin orientation which will prevent the body from undergoing atomic destruction. Now, we can understand the deeper meaning of the words energy cycle of evolution, because all life is a process of the energy cycle of evolution within the greater creation. For this reason, Metatron told me to write, they who prophets are not of love, higher love, will be known as damned to eternal destruction. Alright? Meaning you're going to continue to take on the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. You're going to stay stuck in the Maseroth incarnating back and forth because you don't understand the meaning of higher love. It's not the love of the flesh and the people of your flesh and blood. It's the love of your creator, which when you understand the true aspects of Jaja, you understand that all living beings are in aspect or a drop of Jaja. So you no longer seek to destroy creation, which meaning you don't pay people to kill animals for you to eat them no more, because you understand that they are all a part of Jaja creation. And that's how we create the beginning and the ending. Because in the beginning, in the Garden of Eden, they weren't allowed to kill, and they weren't allowed to eat the flesh of animals because they would have to kill them. And that broke the harmony, and that destroys the garden. All right, so love is what keeps the garden in harmony. The love and union of all of the spirits. That's how it say in the book of Isaiah in the end, the lamb gonna dwell with the wolf and the ass with the child. Nothing gonna hurt. Nothing is going to kill or destroy in the garden or in Zion. And he says, for this reason, the living light comes to rescue membrane with love in the image. For man was made to grow into the image of the living light, not into the image of humanoid life on other planets. Meaning, when the time has come for this planet to be offered up, all right, if you have not made it to the point of being remolded into the higher evolution, all you're going to do is end up becoming a humanoid on another planet, another Earth-like system, all right? And they go into that in other parts of the keys, but if once this planet then got transformed, there's another life station that's already being created and made available for those that have to continue going through the Mazzaroth system to incarnate onto to start their journey again, so that they can keep growing out of love. For this reason, the living light comes to rescue membranes with love in the image. For man was made to grow into the image of the living light, not into the image of humanoid life on other planets. Man was made to grow into the image of the living light to become the Adam Kadmon, who is capable of chemically generating an infinite number of spatial forms. Alright, verse 140. This was demonstrated by Yahshua when he balanced the basic 32 chemical elements in his human body with the 33rd transformation of light known as the Lagboimer, alright, the pillar of light. This showed how his cellular chemical functions could be completely rebuilt into a Christ body of light over a 3.5 day cycle compared to 7 years to replace the body cells. Metatron explained to me that this process is available. This process is available to the righteous of this planet if they use the energy transduction model of living light properly. All right, this process is the same thing that your brother Jesus did. That same process is available to us, the righteous of this planet, if we use the energy transduction model of the living light properly. In essence, since the same ATP model, and we did a lesson on ATP for those that don't know, maybe a month ago. Since the same ATP model that was in Jesus is in us, by the proper electron transfer, the proper electrical flow through the higher light projections of the higher evolution, we can be delivered from negative decay and entropy and quickened into bodies of regeneration and higher light. Let's go to page 535. All right, you see where it said through proper electron transfer. All right, and remember the lessons we did on the electron. Let's go to key 318, page 535, verse 31. Thus, the electron, as man knows it, must be extended to the activity of a parent super electron. Thus, the electron, as man knows it, must be extended to the activity of a parent super electron. Pause. Let's go back to verse 142 again. In essence, since the same AT model that was in Jesus is in us, by the proper electron transfer through the higher light projections of the higher evolution, we can be delivered from negative decay and entropy and quicken into bodies of regeneration and higher light. Thus, the electron, as man knows it, must be extended to the activity of a parent super electron. This super electron also contains the stimulated emissions of gravitational waves or gravitational light or energy or greater amplification. 24. There is only one super electron forming our sun universe. There is only one super electron forming our sun universe. What man calls electrons within his terrestrial environment are particles capable of supporting various consciousness programs. Alright? So what the higher man calls electrons within his terrestrial environment are particles capable of supporting various consciousness programs, which are constantly being distributed throughout the super electron. Alright, let's go to verse 9. Alright. Let's go to verse 34 first. This super electron embodies a smaller blueprint of itself. This super electron embodies a smaller blueprint of itself. Think of the super electron as the light field. Alright, that embodies a smaller light field of itself through sub-electron firings, which form the syntax controlling the natural dispensation of universal knowledge through quantum mechanistic language codes, or the language of light. Alright. Now, verse 9. Metatron created the super electron so that the consciousness levels of the Elohim are interconnected at all times. Metatron created the super electron, or the super light grid, so that the consciousness levels of the Elohim are interconnected at all times. This means that programs in motion can return to the original areas of creation, or go down and slip in and connect with other programs already in motion. Alright? If we gonna leave it right there. Alright? Basically, you are the electron that has to connect back to the super electron. You a child of light that gotta connect back to the higher light grid so that you can be in alignment with the higher evolutionary beings of light. Alright? Peace.